In the modern world, physical commodities, objects we can hold, move, use, form a fundamental barrier to the abstraction away from a reliance in the world of the concrete. The creation, purchase, and movement of goods represent a starkly different world, much more representative of the older world than the free flow of information in the modern age. This reliance on physicality, on labor, belies a critical facet of our physical work. We've become accustomed to this digital age where we can move things, transform things, replicate things with ease and with infinitesimal amounts of effort. More and more nowadays, our consumer economy attempts to drive a more seamless flow of physical objects into our lives. But we still treat it, we still act like it is not an integral and seamless part of our activities and our existence the way we do with digital goods. We barely even think about the action taken to bring data to us, to move data around, to change data. But the same cannot be said for the physical items. We know we have to go out and make a purchase. Maybe we do it online. It shows up at our door. We don't handle physical funds. That just comes straight from our bank to the accounts of the place from which we're purchasing. The item shows up at our doorstep. We bring it in. Now we have it. At some point, maybe we throw it out. We leave it at the curb. It goes away. We don't think about it anymore. But it still requires this effort. And the attempts of Amazon and Walmart and so many other distributors and sellers now focus significantly on this transformation into a seamless integration of objects into our lives, the steady flow of objects. The eventual notion might then be to be able to treat these physical objects with no more concern than we do the data in our lives. The natural upper state to achieve this would be matter-energy replication, the stuff of science fiction where we simply transform the data with energy, turning it into matter, a true replication of some entity with practically zero cost. It seems hard to get there, it seems implausible, but we may get there in other ways. Adapting in an extreme way, the manufacturing process, the way extreme adaptations in agriculture has allowed us a magnificent surplus of foodstuff. And the more we can achieve this fundamental lowering of effort and lowering of cost and make so much more efficient the cycling of goods in and out with barely a thought, such that worrying about getting an object into your hand requires no more thought and concern than downloading a file. Anything can be achieved, anything can be acquired. A corollary to this is you don't need to worry about that object. You can discard it just as easily, move it on to someone else that when they need it, they can replicate it, or you can simply give this one away if you don't want to hold on to it. A fundamental shift in the nature of how we view things. In the classic science fiction story, The Midas Plague, society has achieved this perfect continual flow of content, physical content, being produced, being consumed, but they have achieved it to such an extent that it is now a burden on the individual in society to consume sufficiently. Having is easy, having little is difficult. And so it is only the very rich who are able to achieve any semblance of minimalism in their physical properties, where the extravagance is then left to the impoverished. And the hero of this story is able to find a way to let robots use and consume the content, the goods, and allow this insanely massive pipeline of stuff to flow without clogging, without overrunning. The manufacturing process is so self-sustaining, so perfect, so effortless, that it's as running water. You simply tap it when you want something of it. And the key phrase in this story is a pipeline has two ends. What goes in must come out. And while I believe the moral of this story exhorts the reader to think about how we approach manufacturing, consumption, and the joy that we take from objects, there are lessons here that we can definitely apply to the changing distribution patterns of the future. There are goods and evils in a streamlined process of manufacturing, distribution, consumption. The perilous pitfall is to become consumed, as the people in the story of the Midas Plague, with the need to consume. But the possible excellent outcome is the ability to not worry for 1 second about having or needing. Anything, any physical thing, is there, always waiting for you. In an instant, at practically zero cost, practically zero effort, the items you need not only become available, but are there for you. And this unlocks, if we can achieve it properly, a huge transformation in the way we handle ourselves and our lives. We are no longer dependent then on the bottom line of life-sustaining labor. It's still there. If the pipeline broke down, it would be a terrible, terrible thing, as it would be now in a different way. It would need to be observed for any fault or flaw and maintained meticulously. But just like on the day-to-day basis, we do not worry about our water, our electricity. We're not overly concerned with the buildings we inhabit falling down of their own accord. We feel stable in the fact that we can go online and download a file. In that way, we can feel stable then in having this physical stuff available to us. And then, as we've said other times in other ways, we can spend our time focusing on the things we want to focus on. We are not inhibited by worry and concern over self-sustainment. Our minds are free to learn, to explore, to grow individually and generationally as a society. And the true inherent ability of human beings to explore and push boundaries will be unleashed in a way that has never been the case before. And all this lies on the other side of a very narrow path, which contains many pitfalls, many ways to go wrong. But if we get it right, the possibilities are limitless.